What's up, everybody? Furin here. So today we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to go through a video of me just using my 10 wings and siege on my alt as fast as possible. And the idea here is that this is like Conqueror level siege. There's no dupes. There's no trained counters. It's just me trying to think fast and get some wings out and hopefully get some wins since we're in a little lower level siege. So we're going to go into this first attack here. We have a Miho tower, so I'm thinking some sort of cocky cleave. I'm looking for my Yogin here. Just to have the attack buff, the defense break, and the cocky in order to cleave everything here. Except for when we go into this, I realized that I put an extra grind on my Nephthys. And so we get just one defense break here. But that's okay, as long as we go in front here, as long as we kill that Miho, there's not really a lot of threat from getting soloed by either like this Rika, who you can see here just derps and has bad AI. But either way, I think we have enough to kind of push through, kill the rest of these units. And go from there. And again, what I was thinking as I came to this was just Miho's the main threat. You want to bring like a Skogul, a Kaki, something that you feel comfortable killing that. Either that or a heal block can also work. But that's the first one. So we're just going to try and go through these towers. This is an interesting comp. There's double bombers in the Spectra. Spectra has really high base speed. And so what I'm looking for here is just 3 units with will. It doesn't matter how fast they are. Just trying to think, you know, not super fast because I don't want to go first and then get bombed. But they're really the only threat here is that if you aren't looking, you go into this, you get slowed by the Spectra, who might be on Swift with high base speed, and then you get AoE bombed, and then Sierra follows it up. A much better version of this would be something like a Tiana or some sort of fast stripper in order to actually enable the team. But here I just brought in 3 will units. I actually went pretty early on my Spectra before the bombers did. AoE stun does nothing, but we got it from a Bioproc, so that's okay. Biggest start here is the Ciara, and we can just put a bomb on the Dover. Probably should have exploded that bomb, but from here on out, we are most likely good. AI does a fantastic job here of putting another bomb on the unit that is already dead, but a couple more skills here, the Spectra will go down. So that is our second wing. We're just going to go through here again, see if I can just take all these frontline towers. This is, you know, we're just free for all. We're not trying to organize anything here. I think there's only 4 or 5 people that actually hit siege in this guild that I'm farming on. So we're just kind of going through it. And next we see this is an Odin comp that I think I can just Lucian. It's not that fast. There's no speed lead. And even though this person has some wings in here, we just Lucian everything down. Maybe a little bit scary with some procs out of the Odin, but should be able to just clean him up for this easy kill. So 1 tower down, let's pick another one and keep going. So I got 2 hits left on this tower 8. Some interesting comps here. I'm not really that worried about anything here, but if we have some sort of wind damage dealer, can really take through most of this team. I've already used a couple of things, and I don't really have actually a very deep wind bruiser pool on this account. I think I have something like 55 6 stars, so I'm thinking maybe we just KSB this. It's not really like the most ideal comp or like most efficient, but I think it'll get the job done here. I'm thinking maybe we just nuke down one of these units who I think will be the most squishy, and then Skogul can easily take care of the rest. So go for the Megan just because I thought maybe she had a fast Swift set on and maybe less other stats, as well as the Suiki is going to have lifesteal, and the Ramagan is going to have a decent amount of tankiness. So again, just looking to take out 1 unit, and then that's kind of scary. I moved my my vigor to a bit more damage build recently, and so he's not tanking this up too well here. But we'll put the heal block up on the Suiki. Hopefully survive through 1 more turn here for the Skogul to get another rock off, and hopefully with 2 units up, it'll be able to kill everything. So let's see here. This is actually getting pretty dicey. The Suiki potential here is just he has so much lifesteal. When we get a proc there, which actually isn't that great because the Winninugami had just like 1 hit left, and so I would have rather finished him off with the Kamoon and then had the full rock hit the Suiki. Kamoon tanks that last hit like a champ, and we should be fine here to just live for 1 more turn and get that rock drop to finish it off. So there you go, KSV, pretty staple, pretty easy. Maybe a little sketchier than it needed to be, but we did okay here. And here's another Miho hit. I'd already used the Skogul, already used the The Kaki, I don't actually have any other Onimushas built, and I only have one Skogul on this account. So I'm thinking through what can be something that can still kill this. And so this is a comp that I've seen a lot of people run with it, which is similar to the like Riko, Wusa, Gani that you've seen in Nat 5 tower, but just the Thrain, Sath QA, and then some sort of support. And then I'm thinking here, Lulu is useful here, but I'm going to swap it over to a Bella. My Bella is pretty tanky. It'll give me a light tank for the triple dark team, and then also the sustain that I was looking for. And so again here, I don't have the Skogul or the Kaki in order to kill the Miho, but the triple dot damage and the heal block from the Sath should be enough here. And as we see, yeah, we get full round of dots off. The Miho drops pretty quickly. We get more dots off with our Thrain, and it should be pretty easy to go from here. This is a pretty like staple team for me now that I've gotten the Thrain 2A. The only thing that's kind of sketchy about this again is that all those units that I have, they're not ruined particularly well. And if that team had just had full will, then there was a chance that I wouldn't have been able to tank for that long. But throwing in the Bella there over the other support just gives me a lot more ability to like survive one round, make sure they don't just nuke out one of the squishy Grim Reapers, and then go from there. And next we see there's a triple water tower. This is not something that's like super common. I feel like people see this, they have like an aerial or like a Chow, and they're like, oh, like 50 HP lead. I can definitely just like put in a bunch of tanky units. Someone will try to Lucian this and get baited. This is actually like my favorite thing to hit on my main, because if you have like a Mirane or like a fight Changpeng or a, you can still just cleave this. It's not that tanky, but it does definitely trap people that have lower rune quality, especially if you put some triple HP units here. What I'm going to do here is really the only kill pressure here comes from the Vigor. So we take that out. We take out their defense break. We take out their highest damage dealing unit. We're going to go ahead and go for the Aerial next, because I want to keep the pushback, since the cleanse and the heals coming from Aerial can just be really annoying in taking out the next units. And then I think sometimes people are worried about Camilla having solo potential, but when you have a Lauren, the Camilla is just never going to go. And this was pretty freaking safe. I wasn't worried much here. I think I was just looking for some win units longer to see if I could use a less meta team in order to take that out. One of the big things that I think about when I go through my alt siege is like, can I take out towers with less efficient units, because I really don't have 30 amazing mons that I can use for every single siege. I gotta use a couple of crappy builds for some of these towers, so I'm looking for some of them to use the less efficient teams. So for this next one, we got a Fran, Mina, Miho. I'm actually pretty surprised I hit this many Mihos. Again, we've used a dot team, we've used a Skogul, we've used a Kaki. And so I'm thinking through what can I really do next here. I have Despair more that actually has some decent crit rate on him, which makes it uncomfortable. If we toss in Orion, then we get a heal block and also some CC in order to take out the Miho. And I don't know why I put a Masha in here at first, but you know, when you have a water unit as the main DPS threat, we really want to put in like either a wind or another water DPS here. I think I end up putting in Varad. This is kind of a weird team. I'm kind of counting on a strip for more into a big CC, but I think that they have no will. I think that I'm just looking to put some CC out there because there is some crit rate on these units. We also have Orion with the skill 2 has the guaranteed crushing hit, so you can always use that to finish off a Miho and have a 100% chance that you're not going to crit, because it's always going to land as that crushing hit, which doesn't proc or passive. And Orion can definitely cycle through here and do some good stuff. I think the only potential thing that we're worried about here is if the Fran were to proc, then again, there's potential for her to put up immunity, which shuts down a lot of these units. And we saw there the crit from the almost no crit rate Orion into the crit from the more higher crit rate more, and then eventually the Varad finished it off. But I don't think there was really any chance of her coming into a solo for that. So we're already through 7 wings. We got another Odin tower here. This is another weird one where you see there's no speed lead, there's double support. And I'm thinking, you know, into this, if I can just nuke the Odin, then this team has basically no damage and no potential to kill me. Ideally, you bring in something like a Tessarian here, can just completely neutralize the Odin. Would have been way easier, but I already used that. We end up going with this comp with Carcano, Clara, and Gani. The idea was that I would just reset the Odin, get a quick kill off with the Carcano, and then be able to cycle and somewhat live from there. It doesn't work out quite as I had hoped at first, as you can see here, where the Bastet gets in after I don't quite kill the Odin. Then we end up the second time around here getting that Odin kill, but we're still here with 2 fire units and a Ganny who's half HP and not going to really do too much against a healer and a water unit that is going to be kind of tricky to kill. But we get the Carcano kill onto the Fran. We missed the stun strip onto the Bastet, but there's no way that she ends up 3v1ing this, even with getting that attack buff up on my Carcano. Eventually we'll be able to just push her down and to get this win that, you know, this comp, it definitely wasn't the greatest, but it ended up working out, and that's what we're working with here. All right, so we're down to our last 2 swords, and we see in this 4-star tower, this is a pretty old meta team with the Susanna, Orion, and Garo. The idea here is that you have a high speed lead to get the Orion to go first, and then you have 2 DPS units that are kind of hard to kill. I decided to take in my Water Twins Triana here because you see I have the death prevention to stop the first round of kill from the Susano. We end up taking out the Garo first just because he can be annoying in these comps, but not really that much of a threat. I killed the Orion second here too, and potentially killing the Susano earlier would have been a much better choice. He ends up not one-shining the twin there, and I maybe could have been in trouble if he had. And we end up getting these, you know, highly skillful Triana plays at the end in order to get that kill. I think probably if I went back and did this again, I haven't really fought this team that much. We would have just gone for the Susano first because the Triana's really tanky. We just don't want the twins to die. So that's 9 wins. Let's see if we can get the last one, and we're gonna hit another Miho. This is one of those things that ends up being really hard in lower siege. You know, in higher level siege, you see people with 15 Onimushas and 10 Skogls. You can hit these things all day, and people laugh that Miho is out of the meta and dead. This is kind of an interesting comp in that it's kind of like the KSV, but you don't have the Skogl and you don't have the Vigor, and you have the Miho instead. So you're lacking the healing, and also the staying power of this team is just much different. You still have to go through the Commune Shield. The Skogl is still going to be tanky, but you're missing the defense break. You're missing the heal. Just Vigor provides so much in that team. And also you're just missing a water threat. So I end up just thinking, okay, maybe I can go with some sort of double fire damage dealer, thinking about we can nuke the Commune with the Kali or maybe potentially the Skogl. Garo can get in a pretty good position where if you kill the Miho early, he can definitely kill a Skogl one-on-one. The only problem is thinking about, okay, I need some sort of threat to be able to kill the Miho. So we end up taking an Escher here. It brings the heal block. He has a little bit lower crit with the multi-hits to potentially kill, and gives you a little bit of that sustain in order to go through. So I think I end up being pretty conflicted here. I think in my head, the best thing to do would be to just nuke this Commune as quickly as possible. We end up going for a stun on a Skogl just to prevent ourselves from getting potentially RNG'd with a violent proc into getting a lot of damage down on the team. And then we do a heal, a speed buff here. And I think we do, yeah, we nuke the Commune here. And now we're left with a nice 2v3. And the only thing we're thinking about is how do we make it so that we don't get soloed by the Miho. So we get the heal block up. Now I'm thinking I can push a little bit more damage into this Miho. We have dots potentially with both of these 2 fire damage units. And we get a play here where we get a stun with the 1 HP on the Miho. With the continuous damage up, and so when the Miho goes, we end up getting the kill with that, and that's our 10th win. So this was, I think, a C3 siege for my guild, which was a little higher than we normally are. The interesting challenge for me today was I basically just wanted to hit every single tower, take that whole front line. As you saw, I think we took 4 whole towers from 10 swords because there were a couple that already had some hits, and typically, because I have a smaller box and we don't have dupes built, we're doing a little bit of half the game is like hunting for the towers that you feel confident you can hit, but challenging myself today to, you know, hit 4 or 5 Mihos, even without a lot of dupes built, thinking a little bit more about how we can build these strategies, and just see something a little different. Anyways, let me know if you like this video. Definitely not high level siege, but I think that makes it a little fun. And let me know in the comments if you want to see more. Thanks, guys.